All right, mic check, 1 2 1 2. We are getting into a brand new best of 5. This, however, is the losers match, and this series comes with a bit of consequence, as the loser will be removed from the TING Open group stage. We're of course casting the Korean group number 2, spawning here on the top left side of the map. It's going to be one of our Alima League hometown heroes, GuMiho.
In the top right, as the Teal Zerg, he's Soulkey.
Both of these players have played themselves against each other in the Alima League, and both of them have competed multiple times across many weeks over the last year in said tournament. Soulkey really making a bigger performance here on BaseTradeTV towards the, I guess, Legacy of the Void side of things, but we've been watching GuMiho for ever.
Yeah, GuMiho has been the longest-lasting, consistent player of the Alima League, probably. I recently hung up my Alima League poster. I keep on looking at it when I look for inspiration. Because of all the Terrans.
Yeah, GuMiho had a couple of monthly wins on this, so featuring his picture a couple of times, which is nice.
Yep. It's a pretty cool poster. But anyways, he has been definitely the most consistent in us, which we do like him. But Soulkey has also, like, I guess he kind of replaced Beyond, so I don't call him, like, you know, like second tier, but sorry, Soulkey. Beyond came first, amazed us all. It was like, oh my god, thank god Beyond's playing. Soulkey was there too, but usually losing to Beyond. Now Beyond's gone and Soulkey's here, and we love Soulkey too because he's also playing on a lot of our stuff all the time, and just such a hard decision, man.
You're so heavily invested in this, holy moly.
Well, I mean, if I really was heavily invested into it, I'd be saying, well, Soulkey might be playing everything and I love him. I also hate him because 2 years ago he beat Innovation in the GSL. And that just can't be forgiven.
Zombie Holds Grudge is like nobody's business, guys. It's kind of redonkulous.
Only about Korean pros, though, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. She's like, Rifkin, you did that one thing, but I kind of forgave you, like, immediately, so it's not a problem. But Jaedong, I swear, like, 3 years ago.
Yeah, Jaedong, like, you know, Lennox, swear to God, should have won that GSL. God damn.
That's the true passion right there, guys. Gets a joke kill with a grenade, so that looked kind of cool. But for GuMiho not really getting too much done. Now, TvZ is actually going to be really interesting for me to watch in this, because Soulkey's been doing a couple of different things, and I'm not talking about even his special tactics side of it. Like, out of all the people really trying to make it work, we really saw Soulkey be the first to nail Ling Bane Ling Vita, start making it a really good thing. This Reaper's getting away with so much, by the way. Holy shit. Finally going to go down here? Nope.
Run, buddy, run!
Run!
He's healing! He's healing! He's good to go! Oh, yeah.
No, why would you say that? Oh my god, 1 health, are you serious? Eyes wide open! Ah!
Called it. Nailed it. I'm so good.
Okay, so, at any rate, what I was saying was Soulkey was the one who really started making Banelings look better before any other player was. You know, everyone was stuck with Roach Ravager and Fester for such a long time. Funny enough, though, GuMiho's been looking better and better in the late game as we see him in this matchup. So I don't know who I put the faith in here. I feel like any mid-early game stuff I want to almost just give to Soulkey, but GuMiho, you give him the ability to drop, you give him ghosts. Like, he actually knows how to play this matchup pretty well later on.
Yeah, that's certainly true. Soulkey was just the original guy to just experiment in all matchups, which was really cool and definitely unexpected, because, you know, he's... Usually Koreans do have that stereotype, and Soulkey was not the most experimental Zerg in his heyday, but I guess being on a foreign team and just taking that break that he did really changed him up. So he was the first to try and make Meta work. It does work now, kind of officially. You can do it, but usually only on certain maps. Like, definitely don't do it on Arena. At least don't stay on it. Meta Ling Bling. But you would definitely try it on Dusk Towers. Ruins can do it too. Layer lack is always something that I question, especially in close spawns, because it is such a small map. But we see a lot of Zerg actually go for like 2-base Spire, or in Soulkey's case, just regular old Spire from 3 bases. There's one thing that does seem to be consistent, however, and that's on the Terran's side of things on Lair Crest. Seems very rarely do we see a 3rd base from Terrans here, whether it's TvZ or TvT even. Just going for this 2-base push always seems preferable. Seems like the better option. I'm not sure if the third CC is just really, really terrible, or if 2-base attacks are just so much better because of the distance, especially in these spawns. But the Hellions get into the natural while this medevac kind of distracts. They don't do very much, though. Slings were waiting.
Nice cleanup out of Soulkey. Yeah, the medevac, it's not even that this was strictly a distraction. Like, had he actually been able to get away with this medevac could have been devastating. Even just sitting here in the mineral line is going to make this kind of scary to deal with. But with Queens coming, that medevac being so low already... contemplating saving Private Ryan?
Their match history is actually 3-1 in favor of GuMiho, and the last time Soulkey won against GuMiho was in beginning of January. I actually thought it was going to be more even than that.
Okay. Well, you know, hashtag Terran, Imba, all that stuff.
Yeah, obviously that's the reason. That's true.
Shops.
Yep.
That'll be the solution to everything.
Yes, that will. Regardless, it seems like GuMiho's in better form against Soulkey recently, but that is very recently. See if it changes here in a best of 5 too, because the other ones have been best in 3s.
Alright, well, Marine's going to clean up all this creep really quick. That's kind of nice to see as he continues to push forward. Stim is done. Combat Shields isn't here, but if he gets on top of the Banelings now, he won't have to worry about those Combat Shields. He's going to try and focus him down. Let's not forget, GuMiho's focus fire is pretty darn good. Liberator going to be coming in that front line. Although he might want to just pick up in the medevacs. I don't know. It's dangerous.
Oh, boy.
Oh, he's really playing with fire as he focuses down, but he does focus those Banelings down. Doesn't have to pick up. Liberator falls, but oh my god. That was it. That was very close. That was way too close.
Yeah. Soulkey was trying to get up to Aspire, and he's going into Roach upgrade, so he was planning on transferring out, not bothering with Baneling speed. GuMiho, if he keeps up the aggression, he'll scout this, of course.
Oh,
but
that medevac.
Yeah, that sucks. He might also not have to deal with it if this pressure is good. Losing that medevac, though, really does hits his pressure hard, as he loses a couple of Marines, too. And try and abuse this high ground, low ground. The mutas are out. Even though there's only like 4 of them, they can at least snipe this medevac. And there are those roaches.
Nope. Oh, the deny. There's a lot of Marines situated out here. I don't know what for. Leaving them out like this is actually a huge waste.
Yeah, that was a little odd. I mean, to rally forward on Lairlag is not unexpected. It's usually it's to some place where the tanks are sieged up. As you can see in this game, no tanks. No tanks.
Yeah, actually, that's a really interesting point. We've talked a lot about Widow Mines and their effectiveness, and they're certainly better in a lot of scenarios, but I think a big problem is a bad tank shot is still way better than a bad Widow Mine shot. And I think that's a big part of why people got really obsessed with starting to really focus on tanks, but you know, these Widow Mines, they can level out Zerglings, they can take out all the Banelings in the right circumstance. They're a little more gambly than tanks, but Widow Mines plus Liberators... that at the very least means Mutalisks will not be an issue, or shouldn't be an issue.
Well, that's true. But Mutas already aren't an issue. He only got 4. He might have gone for 8 if, you know, all these things hadn't happened. But he was only going for a certain amount, and he was transferring over into Roaches. And that's where Widow Mines, they kind of suck. They can get good hits on Roaches, but usually you want the tanks, especially now, of course, that they can tank drop, to continuously follow the Roaches and as they go forward. And, you know, that's unfortunately not something that GuMiho is going to have. He might not even realize that it was transferred into Roaches. His medevac drop died to the Queen and the Mutas, so I'm not even sure he saw any Roaches. He did, I think, with that scan, though.
The funny thing is that Ravagers, they can blindly clean up Widow Mines, which is a little annoying because it means no detection necessary, and you can clean them up from far away. But if he's not paying attention, like, Widow Mines are going to devastate. It's not that many. I mean, we're talking a lot about Widow Mines, I guess, when they're not that influential to the match, but it's just kind of cool what that potential brings. Now, Liberator's still going to be a big part of the focus, and these are going to be incredibly difficult to use. But if you can break that front line, those Liberators won't matter because it'll be the Marines and the Marauders stimming on top of the Ravagers that'll take out this army.
Yeah. And now GuMiho is making 2 Marauders at a time to buff up his army without those tanks. He's also starting to make tanks as he realizes what's going on here. That's a lot of Ravagers that can go down very quickly. There's the rest of the army. I was wondering where that was.
Roach Speed's only just finishing, so funny enough, the Roaches actually escape first, being slow, and the Ravagers get picked off. Of course, up here, the Lings still haven't been fully dealt with. 21 SCVs died for GuMiho while this was going on. So this is a great attack out of Soulkey. No one really cares about Lings. Throw away Lings, get all these SCV kills. Ends up being pretty nice. He'll have to probably try to one this off. I don't know if he wants to just keep rallying to this one choke for the rest of the game. I don't know.
I think so, but you would think that one of these chokes would be walled off.
Yeah, because this ramp isn't either, which is kind of weird to consider.
But I guess Lings are a thing of the past for now. The thing is that they're always going to be good for those counterattacks, but it's just about the Roach Ravager here. Soulkey did get to like everything that he wanted, despite what would look to be a very dangerous push initially with those Banelings. He's getting 2-2, he's got his big Roach army. He might be able to stall out upgrades.
Ooh, I don't know about this. This is going to be really weird, because, yeah, if he gets the upgrades, that's dangerous, of course, but the Roaches and Ravagers potentially choked in here to the back of the base. As he breaks the Roach line, he can just stem on top of everything else.
Well, he's a little hesitant to actually stem on top of the army. And there's the Roaches now backing up the Ravagers.
He loses a considerable amount of workers behind this once again, though, so going down another 10, and Soulkey's income's just spiking out of control. He's on 4 bases while this goes on, and he doesn't need to worry about droning. He's just going 20 Ravagers or Roaches, just constantly more Roaches and more Roaches behind this.
Yeah. Now, Soulkey could over-dedicate to Roaches. It is possible. You know, GuMiho takes one great, fantastic fight because you underestimate the power of Bio. Happens all the time. So Soulkey, if he really wants to solidify, his win in this game, should probably, think about Infestors. Especially since he is on 4 bases and can get all of that gas. All that gas. I think he wants to kill him here. He sees, like, 1 tank and is like, I can do this.
Yeah. I mean, this choke's been set up here with a couple Liberators to catch anything that rallies through, but, gosh, I don't know. If there were no Roaches here, he could kill these Ravagers relatively easy, but even dancing these tanks around, he's taking good hits. He just barely doesn't have the bio to finish this off. At the same time, Soulkey just might not have enough units to actually push into the base, but once he reconsolidates, brings those Lings, brings those Roaches, again, just the cannon fodder for the Ravagers.
Yeah. That was not a great enough fight. That was just an okay fight in a bad position for GuMiho, who is now not even bothering to get any more tanks. If he had like 6 tanks, I would really believe in a comeback, but only 2 and 2 Liberators they're actually getting all of Soulkey's reinforcements when he rallies in like this, but that's not enough. He scans the 4th base. GG.
Soulkey takes game number 1 in this brand new best of 5.
Yep.
All these people trying to do the mic muted bullshit. Look, guys, you have to understand. First off, I can see the mic's not muted. Secondly, it's not Twitch chat I look to when I'm worried about my mic being muted. It's when I start getting people message me on like DMs on Twitter and Skype. That's what alerts me to my mic being muted. Okay, so I know you guys are just like me when real tryhards. It's not happening.
What you're saying is to always message you when your mic's off?
What?
Always message you.
What do you mean always message me?
I mean, like, when your mic is off, people should DM you and Skype you and tweet at you and stuff.
That's what they already do. I don't understand where we're going with this.
Damn it.
The type of trolly people you're trying to bait aren't the type of people I have contact with that could do these things.
Every single time you mic mutes, and you're like, okay, yeah, I get it, guys. You don't have to tweet at me anymore. I see it. So now I'm just telling people to always do it, so you get even more people tweeting, so even more you'll be like, you don't have to do this. I see it now.
Okay, Zombie Go.
Whatever, Rifkin.
Okay, GuMiho needs a second. This is like you just make me rub my temples. Like,
You're rubbing your temples.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Ugh.
Okay, so after this, of course, we're gonna have the winners match featuring Cure and Rogue. That'll be pretty awesome, and then the finals of the group will come out. I mentioned it at the start of the broadcast. We are doing a local recording because the Korean groups are coming up so early. No one necessarily gets to watch them, which is a little unfortunate. So we will be doing a rebroadcast later. So just stating the time, if it's currently 7 a.m. on the Pacific Coast, February 23rd. If you're not seeing this at that time, at that date, this is a rebroadcast. But guess what? There's no way for me to really convey that otherwise, because I say like, psych, this is live, but then if it's on the rebroadcast, it's not. So anyways, thank you guys for tuning in one way or the other. Shout out to Twitch Esports, just tweeted about the TING Open, by the way. Hype!
Pretty cool.
Gotta give that bad boy a retweet. Makes you feel good. It's been awesome, though. I will say this while we're waiting for this to start. Oh, there we go. Viewership for all these TING tournaments has been just, like, consistently awesome. Like, you guys have been great, and I hope you've been enjoying this. I'm assuming you have been because the viewership's been so good. We're going to go to Ruins, and we'll see you guys in a sec. All right, welcome back to the Ting Open game number 2 in this best of 5. This is unfortunately the losers match. So one of these two players will be eliminated from the tournament completely and entirely if they lose this series. But it's far from over as the series has only begun. It's still game 2, and in the top left, you might be down 1 point, but it's going to be the blue Terran GuMiho.
In the bottom right is the red Zerg. He's TCM Soulkey.
And Zombie, where can people go if they want to learn more about Ting?
They can go to bttv.ting.com. Check out all the links they have there, the coverage, the plan, or the rates, what devices they cover. Everything is included in there.
Yeah, and a quick reminder: they're actually doing a smartphone giveaway. Now, there's two parts to this. One is the giveaway is sadly only available to United States residents, so the ability to win this smartphone is only if you're in the United States. However, the way to win is open to everybody because they're planning to do an AMA with these questions, make a video of it, and we'll play that later on in the tournament. So to enter into the smartphone giveaway, you just have to tweet at Ting for the win, and you hashtag a question with Ting Open, and you can ask them anything, literally anything. You can ask them about their business model. You can ask them what their favorite race is in StarCraft 2. You can ask them if they think Jesse is a degenerate for constantly doing StarCraft instead of working. Whatever the case may be, you just have to ask a question to enter. And of course, again, if you're not from the United States, you're not eligible to win the smartphone, but your question and name could still get read out in that AMA, which we'll be broadcasting later. I'm not sure if we're going to be doing that at the same time as Jesse having won/lost those games he played.
Huh.
But either way, make sure you guys enter because it's going to be going until March 7th. So the date of the second European group is the cutoff line for that smartphone giveaway. And I mean, they're gonna cover the shipping costs and everything, guys. It's like 100% free. So just why not enter? It'll take you like a minute. I would request
questions. Get some cool coverage.
Use Rifkin's question idea. Just ask them if they like butts.
Yeah.
Now they do request you keep it PG-13 though, guys. So don't nothing too explicit here. Like how many hours of Pornhub could I use Ting data for to view on a plan of blah blah blah?
You probably don't want to do that.
No.
But just download a video before you leave on your Wi-Fi.
Zombie up with the smart tips. Clever girl.
I'm all about those smart tips.
It's all about that Pornhub is what I thought you were going to say. All right, so the Reaper gets in here, gets a bit of a poke. Really, unfortunately, doesn't get much done because this is Ruins, and there's no way up this to the main minus this ramp. So we'll see if he goes for a scan or if he's just going to play I guess tried and true, because with the map being big like this, I said it before, like GuMiho and macro games I feel can play very strong against Soulkey. The funny thing was with that last game, well, it was kind of like a slower game that looked like a macro game. It wasn't, and a large part it had to do with like how long it took to get that third base up and running. This time around, boom, third CC real quick.
Yep, this is a really macro-oriented opener for GuMiho. The fact that it's Ruins, the fact that it's cross spawns, all would lend to this being the wiser choice, and then a 2-base attack like last game, or even going up to that starport. I mean, not that it would have been bad, it just, you can set up for that macro game this way. Soulkey is going for, it looks to be, again, the Spire. He's got the Baneling Nest, he's going for the Lair, doesn't have the Evo Chambers yet, but I don't know if he'll stick on Spire. I think Ruins is a good map to stick on Spire and actually go for middle lane bling, but he did do well with the Roach transfer. GuMiho didn't really scout it until it was a little too late. He didn't have those tanks, he only had 1 or 2 Marauders, and just wasn't prepared for it. I don't know if it would be the same effect here, though. I mean, the thing is, it's a long map, and Roach is quite slow, even with speed.
That's why we started seeing Nidus Storm become so popular on this map. And I'm not going to say Soulkey isn't going to do it. It's not likely with his playstyle, but it's always an option you got to keep an eye out for.
Mm-hmm.
At any rate, for GuMiho, it's been long and sadly far too gone since we've done mech builds with this guy, so we are going to see Bio come out once again. But the question for me is actually more along the lines of Liberator usage, actually. I do like that Soulkey's gone for the Spire because I think he knows not only is it precautionary, but he may just be doing that Mutalisk Baneling style we hinted at last time, but didn't get to see. But if there's a couple of Liberators out, 1 or 2 Corruptors, lots of Mutas, they can easily deal with them.
The attack, actually, for GuMiho will only be with +1, with 1 Engineering Bay. I don't know what it is about the new 3 Command Center build, but a lot of them do seem to not go for the double Engineering Bay, which in Heart of the Swarm, if you're going to do 3 Command Centers, you're always going to go for double Engineering Bay, too.
So
it's just different in Legacy.
My thought process on it is, when you do this build, you're also double pumping Medivacs a lot sooner, and Liberators a lot sooner, so you don't actually have the gas to go for that second upgrade, much less the Armory right off the bat.
Are you?
I mean, that's the whole point of this. The whole point of the 3CC is get your production up ASAP, right? So, that's my guess. I actually don't know. I don't play this game at a high enough level to have that level of insight. But I mean, just seeing what he's got right now, I mean, that's not a lot of gas to work with.
Yeah, it's actually a lot of minerals. As he's starting to bank a lot from everywhere as he pushes out. He hasn't decided to do anything gas from his factory, which I guess further adds to his gas count. He's just building Hellions for now, so going with those Hellbats, maybe? It's actually pretty questionable, he just gets 2.
Well, either way, he gets back here, and I don't think he's expecting Bailey's speed, but high ground, low ground was something we saw him use last time. Not at all surprised to see him use again. This time, though, with it being 2 Medivacs full of Marines, it's going to be, I mean, and Stim on top of this, it's going to be really hard to actually use the Mutas to stop the attack. I can only really catch it when it's like this. GuMiho with the most awkward Marine pickups, though, I swear to God. This happened last game, too, Saving Private Ryan. But he gets some good trades for this. Behind the Cell Naga makes it impossible for the Lings to get back here, but with boost off the cooldown, goes back towards the main. Lings and Baneling so far out of position for this. Now it's only Mutalisks that are going to be here to defend.
It's a nice amount of Mutalisk. Yeah, but yeah, with all the Marines down, you can't find him.
Here come the Baneling.
Loses Muta, loses 2 Mutas, but he is going to maybe get the Medivacs. They are quite low.
Yeah, this actually has been super devastating. Like, I thought GuMiho was going to do a lot more damage with this attack, but these Medivacs are pretty much destined to die at this point. Yeah, picked off pretty quick.
Yep. Alright, that wasn't a bad drop, but again, whenever you drop instead of do a forward push, you do give up the creep killing potential that you could have had. I think he'd like scanned once, but there's the creep queen planting it back down. Here's the real push. That's lots of units. GuMiho does have a 20 armor supply lead. That's going to be very hard to overcome as Soulkey.
Not only that, but the Baneling count is just... Even if every single one of these Banelings got the sweetest hit, there's still so many Marines that'll be left afterwards. And GuMiho's not going to just sit there and take it. He's going to be splitting and dancing his ass off, even on creep. And in fact, the Hellbat's going to be really interesting for this because they'll get a little bit of damage, but they can soak those hits a lot better. That's a lot of Banelings. This will be the appropriate amount of Banelings that you need. Look at those pre-splits, though.
Without any splash here, and the Hellbats only kind of counts, it was a good choice to go for a numerous amount of Banelings.
It's so much more cost-effective for GuMiho to trade out like this, though. I mean, Soulkey had to spend so much gas on so many Banelings.
It's true. It is about stopping the Terran's momentum right here, though. So GuMiho with such a big army did... Well, you know, if he had like 1 or 2 good Widow Mine splashes, would have been able to probably steamroll. But he does entirely push him back on Ruins. That's a long way to go. Doesn't die to the Liberators too, and now has a 4th base that he can get his drones over to. And actually, Soulkey looks to be in really good shape here. And I am really questioning GuMiho's decision to go for Hellbats, and not even that many Hellbats, mind you. Like that wasn't 8 or 10 soaking up a lot. That was I think 4 or maybe 6. So that was a little odd to see. Now Soulkey, well, now he can decide if he wants to go into just late game Needling Bling, so max out, play the Heart of the Swarm, or if he's actually going to try and go for the Infestation Pit.
I would imagine Hive's got to be on the docket, but for now, I'm less worried about what Soulkey's going to do, because I mean, I know he can fight with this mid-game composition that he has. And I'm more questioning GuMiho. You pointed out that lack of splash, and we do see Widow Mines decisively being made once again. I mean, Widow Mines are better here because you don't have Ravagers picking them off for free. Okay, cool. And Liberators are going to be good for splash/ground damage. Okay, cool. The problem is, what GuMiho has is not a good way to secure a 4th base. And I guess he's going to try and just take this over here to be safe instead of putting it on location. I like this, of course, because that's where his army's rallied. But at a point, I am wondering if Soulkey's economy is going to start carrying him really hard here.
I think so. Soulkey is not on that, you know, supply that just is going to steamroll GuMiho and go, but he does have a lot of commanding position in this game. The creep spread could start going out again. I think that's the one thing that's missing out here, but he's getting a 5th base, so he's still reaching in other waves. Trying to do a Baneling run by was a little...
I mean, if GuMiho wasn't paying attention, that would have been nice, but obviously he was. The army was there, so... Low risk, high reward, not a bad thing. So
Soulkey is going to have 1-1 on these mutas. As well as maybe Corruptors and Broodlords later on.
Yeah, but that's a lot of freaking Liberators, and if the mutas want to fight, they're going to have a bad time.
Yeah. It isn't going to be about fighting, hopefully, for Soulkey, until he has those Ultras, however, where the Liberators are still going to do well, obviously, but it's going to be more of a choice, so I put them into anti-air or anti-ground mode. But the Ultras Cavern is not even halfway done, and then you do need to wait for plating. The creep spread hasn't really gone very far out since being cleaned up in the first attack, and Soulkey does have to push back another nicely sized Terran army, in fact up about 10 army supply. A run by is also an option. Keep GuMiho back at home, and GuMiho does take this very seriously. That's Widow Mines covering. Don't run into those. He sees them.
Alright, Commander's gonna land, but it's not gonna be a planetary just yet. In fact, I hope he lifts it.
He's lifted. There's a drop to the bottom left, but it's been chased off by the Mutalisk. Muta count's at 16. That's actually quite nice. Of course, the Liberators will tear that down if Soulkey stops microing for 1 second. I think that drop did kill the 5th, however. Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. Why would you bulk up like that? No.
He splits, but the thing is, GuMiho's dancing, and well, you can split all day versus Mutas, or versus the Liberators, if the Terran players on top are controlling this.
You know,
this trades out so much better for GuMiho.
I wonder if it's better, though, that to take out the Liberators, because your Ultras are on the way, and they're going to have Chitinous plating, I think, in time for the main push. So you just took away half of the Liberators. And
the Liberators are the only answer right now. We don't have a huge line of Ghosts. We don't have tons of Marauders, Euthermal style in this situation. That's so many families, though. Oh, my gosh.
Another run by to the 4th base. Got to lift it again. Run by to the 3rd, too. But this is an army that's now GuMiho's going to have a much... Well, he's going to have a difficult time anyways, but now that there's half the Liberators...
Timing on this would have been really important, trying to get in there before Ultras had Chitinous plating, but he's not going to get anything done here in the next 10 seconds. Really unfortunate. This base still not being transformed into a planetary. There we go, finally gets started. But even then, a planetary at this point, I don't know, Zombie. I'm getting really worried for GuMiho. Like, he's got a lot of supply. Yeah. He's actually not able to make a ton of Ghosts. He's not able to make a ton of Liberators. Like, those Marauders and Marines are somewhat useless.
I love that Soulkey, by the way. Not only is getting Corruptors, which is a better choice against Liberators, but it's also still upgrading his air units. Usually we see the +1 flyer attack and then you're done, unless you get a double Spire if the game goes on for really, really long. But even go up to +3 Carapace, he's not going to bother with Broodlords. He's just going to use the Corruptors to take care of those Liberators. And that's one of the main reasons Liberators weren't originally the counter to Ultralisk. If he could get
there's nothing to guard the Ultras, though. We've talked about this before. If there's no Lings, if there's no support, you can just kite all day. So here comes some Lings from behind, but he's focus firing down some of these Ultras. It's not going down quickly, but they are going down is the point. Runs over to the Planetary Fortress. He does lose everything over here, which kind of sucks, but that base is a lot less important than this one. And
oh my god, if you chase the same way in Heart of the Storm with these Ultras, they'd all be dead by now. That just seems sloppy and careless by Soulkey, but luckily they have such high armor and it doesn't matter.
The Corruptors are taking out the Medivacs too, by the way, which is, icing on the cake for what was taking out the Liberators.
Oh, that's it.
Very important that these Corruptors actually don't get ignored either, because they can tear down Planetaries. Let's not forget that Caustic Spray ability is actually kind of huge.
Yep. So, the father has now come to reinforce the Ultras. He's also getting Infestors. He realizes that I don't want to deal with kiting anymore. It's a large amount of Marauders. Focuses down one Ultra, but now the Lings are on top of it. Lings are pretty good against Marauders.
Yeah, they are. And there's no more Widow Mines like there were earlier. With the Marine count being lower and lower, there's nothing to really take out or threaten the Corruptors. Lings get to this mineral line once again, and GuMiho just constantly being shut down by this. And between the last few times we've seen GuMiho play versus Soulkey, on top of the fact that, as you stated, their win record, I'm shocked to watch him flounder so much against him. I mean, I love Soulkey, and I'm really glad he's doing well, but I'm more just surprised GuMiho's not.
Yeah, I agree. So that's a mid-game for Soulkey to win. This is the late game for Soulkey to win. I guess maybe next game we might see GuMiho try and do a little bit of early cheese. Try all 3 stages of the game, but...
You know what's kind of funny through this attack for the last 5 minutes? There's been no detection. Widow Mines would have actually killed Ultras. Just throwing that out there.
Looks like the orbital command's going to go down to the Corruptors. Unless they're being repaired, they're going to go for the Liberators instead.
Liberators just can't contest. Well, he does just kind of leave the Liberators on auto attack over there. The army kiting for its life over here. Would have managed to get shots on the Corruptors, but actually, that's the one that you don't really want them to go off on.
All the medevacs have been depleted, by the way.
Yeah.
He
Marauder's
had a
almost
really
dead.
good count, and then the Corruptors just consistently poked at it. There you go, peeing on the building.
Caustic Spray gonna kill this command center. GG. Ladies and gentlemen, Soulkey will take a 2-0 lead over GuMiho, which honestly I'm finding a little bit surprising if we're going to be honest, but we'll see if GuMiho can bring it back. He's still got another game to fall back on, as this is a best of 5, not a best of 3. We are going to duck out to a small commercial break, though. We won't take too long, and we'll see you guys in a few minutes with map number 3 when we return. Number 3 when we return. Number 3. That depressing feeling when there's no gold-based liftoff on Prion Terraces. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the TING Open Korean Group number 2. We are in the losers match, and this guy might get knocked out of the tournament here and now. He is on his last life. In the top left side of Prion Terrace, it's the Red Terran, GuMiho.
In the bottom right as the blue Zerg, he's TCM Soulkey.
He's looking fantastic. You mentioned it before, like macro, sort of mid-game, like this is all working out really well for him. GuMiho's not getting these crazy drops off, and he's not doing all the damage he wants to. And again, just like, it's not just that he beat Soulkey in the past, but he beat Soulkey pretty, I'd say, easily in the past.
A couple of 2-0s in the past 2 months, yep. Yeah,
I mean, like, alive as well. There's been a lot of Terrans who have just been giving Soulkey a run for his money. So, I mean, this is great for Soulkey, if you're a Soulkey fan out there. This is not so great for GuMiho.
Nope, it is the losers match, so GuMiho would be out. Oh my gosh, might even be a 6 or a 0-6. Like, if Soulkey wins this game, that would be definitely not what we expected from GuMiho.
That'd be a bad...
At least one in there. Blah, 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 blah. At least one win there. Blah, blah.
That'd be bad feels. But maybe just have an off day. Quick just remark here, Aerodaz says poor BaseTradeTV subs. No having the Nathaniel's GG emote feels bad, man. So we don't have a GG emote because you've got GG chat badge. Maybe we'll change that in the future if we ever come up with a new idea for a chat badge. But I want to point out that I have at this point sent out, I've kind of spoiled myself. Some of you guys may know who this person is. Ugu Bear. She does a lot of emotes for a lot of streamers on Twitch, and I've for a long time wanted to get some emotes done by her, but they're expensive. But I figured, you know what? We had 1,000 subscribers. Let's spoil ourselves. So I don't want to give away what we're getting done because I think there'll be fun surprises for you guys. But we got 6 new emotes on the way.
Woohoo! Woohoo! I think the real question is, what emotes are you getting rid of so people can Ace Rage?
Yeah, that's gonna be. We'll find that out later. I'll worry about that after we get the emotes, because if they look terrible, like for whatever reason they look bad, I'm not gonna use them, right? But I think they'll all look amazing because I love her work. I've loved pretty much every emote she's ever made. So.
Okay, calm down there.
Whoa.
Take a shower.
Let's not going that direction with it. Jeez. This is kind of interesting out of Soulkey, by the way. He's not going for the gold base really quick. He's actually taking the normal third, which I don't think is a bad thing. I've actually been a big fan of people taking this base over that gold one more often than not. But I don't know. What do you think about him taking this one?
It's actually a really good question. In all matchups, you've seen them try and go for the gold. So go for the gold. I guess this is technically still a safer one. It's not as out there, but usually Zerg has no problem. It's the race that doesn't have a problem taking the farther base. So.
Right?
I don't know.
Well, the reason I like this is because with 2 gold bases early on, we oftentimes see that sort of like adrenaline rush peter out, and if you don't win the game early on, you suddenly aren't just down a base, but you're down like 1 or 2 bases because you were using and relying on gold before. Whereas by taking this base, you kind of save that gold base little boost, I guess you could say, for later on, which I think is kind of cool.
The 2 Reapers still doing damage, but those Lings actually got a mule, which is surprising.
Yeah, a couple drones go down. A lot of mining shut down through this too. Soulkey, every time he pulls the drones, you can see GuMiho spikes up in the differential graph by like 400. So just to give some context on how much money he's missing out on.
So GuMiho is going to open up with tanks this game. He was missing tanks on the Laralac game. Last game, he just was missing splash of anything with his first 2 attacks. Those Hellbats didn't cut it. So maybe trying to change it up again here to tanks. And that's going to be nice, because tanks aren't only just good in general now with the tank drops, they're also especially good against roaches, which Soulkey is going into. He's not going for the Spire first game again. And GuMiho does scout that. He scans the natural, sees roaches popping out, and sees a roach warren itself.
Reaper's still doing a lot of checking. Is he scanning? No, he's doing a lot of scouting. Drone's getting pulled. Really just wants to get rid of this Reaper. It's not doing lots of damage, but it is really annoying.
That drone should have killed it. My hero. Soulkey's doing quite a aggressive maneuver here. That's a lot more lanes backing up this small roach ravager force, but it's only small, like, you know, in context of a late game. Such an early game, it's actually quite nice, but it runs into 2 tanks, immediately loses one. Whoopsie. Again, this... If it wasn't tanks this game, then this would have done great. And GuMiho wasn't going for tanks, so Soulkey took a guess and, well, has to back off now.
Okay, camera in the middle of nowhere. Sorry about that, guys. I had to look away for a second. Tanks, though, are getting a lot of free hits, though, which is nice. We talked about specifically the Widowmine usage and the attempt at it before. And I think pretty much everybody wishes Widowmines would get those amazing hits, but they still very often don't, and we really didn't see too much action out of them in 2 games. So I do like that GuMiho says, you know what, these are not working. Let's go back to something that does kind of work.
Yeah. Also going for double engineering base this game. I am really curious about that, because I don't think it was a mistake. We've been seeing it choosing either or, double engineering bay or a single with 3cc. Oh well. Soulkey looks like he's committing to roaches. He was the Zerg that was experimenting with both Muta into Roach and Roach into Muta, but this is just pure Roach with the upgrades on the way. We'll see how quickly he adds on Infestors. Okay, damn it, Soulkey. Actually, he's going to throw down that Spire. We'll see if it's for the transfer over entirely to Mutilating Bling, however, or if he's just going to add in maybe 6 or 8 Mutas, or even Corruptors, if he goes back into old Roach Corruptor style.
So I don't want to drone on about emotes too much, but we got one of our subs asking, I'm new, what are we supposed to use the title T emote for? So anytime I have to add any text on the screen, guys, this happens. It's really annoying. And people just kept making fun of it, so there you go, title T. Basically, hey, Rifkin sucks at production. These tanks, though, 17 kills on one, 11 on the other. This hasn't been too devastating, but it's certainly been annoying for Soulkey, and he's just not been able to clean this up.
These 2 tank drops have gotten braver and braver over the course of the past 2 weeks in TvT especially, but also as we can see in TvZ. 2 tank drops is really what you need though. 2 and above. A single one just isn't usually worth the micro dedicated to it. Yeah. This is going to start the attack. This is a very powerful ledge to abuse.
He moved commands into this. Oh, that's so bad. Soulkey losing a lot of Ravagers right off the bat for free. Tanks on the backside going to be just taking some shots. Now, they do get picked up and chopped away, but this Bioforce killing, was it like 4 Ravagers right off the bat? Like, that may have snowballed.
That was really, really quite good. Now, Comatose isn't done, so this is a questionable engagement. They're dying pretty quickly to the Roaches. It's about to finish up, but damn it. Okay, there we go. He's just going to pick up and get out of there. Or go into the main base. Soulkey, where are you going? Where are you going?
Well, actually, might just drive off this base, because this is where the Spire is. So sieging up this location is not a bad idea at all, if he can shut down that Spire.
Base trade? Base for base? He has the 4th to go to.
He's so sick of dancing around this tank, so I wouldn't blame him. Spire is going to get shot down. No, but he's not going to focus it. He's going to benevolently leave it alive. Drops directly to Roaches. Whoa, 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 whoa. What is GuMiho doing? You know what? I think he's panicking because on the other side of the map, he wasn't prepared for this. SCV stacked up. Everyone's hiding. Everyone's scared. He's pulling workers into the fight. He's got a ramp. He's got a fight around. GuMiho had this amazing attack on the other side of the map going for him. Kind of flustered, it feels. Eats a lot of these corrosive biles, but does start driving this back.
He lost... Soulkey lost a base, but not many drones, and has a gold he can transfer everything to. GuMiho lost SCVs, but didn't lose any bases. I don't know who this goes better for. There aren't even upgrades. Soulkey just can't use his bank right now because he's missing the gas after losing that 3rd base. He transfers his drones over now to the 4th so that mineral income will spike, but those gases might be what kills him if he does get killed in this game. He pushes forward. Uh-oh.
It's just focuses down the Ravagers really quick. I was going to say, for GuMiho, the reason I think this goes better is because it's not really been a huge swamp from Soulkey. Like, it's still just roaches. Those mutas didn't get made. GG. GuMiho not going to go down without a fight and will put a point on the board.
It's questionable. Roach rally. All right.
I mean, okay, so Soulkey, he didn't handle those tanks well initially, which was fine because GuMiho wasn't devastating him with those 2 tank drops. But he was so focused on that in different parts of the map. Like when that like walkout happened, that was just that was damage you cannot easily recover. Not walking units into an army like that.
That was a big mistake. The next map will be Arena. Surprisingly, most people do veto this first. I think GuMiho, for whatever reason, really doesn't like Orbital. He's vetoed that every single time. And they are ready. GG.
Alright, so we can start that up. Jesse apparently is going to be making a stop in the chat, even though he's kind of busy today. He says he doesn't want to miss out on too much StarCraft action, so that's cool. So if you guys see Ting Jesse in chat, make sure you say hi. He's the official representative. We'll see you guys here in a sec on Arena. So, kind of an interesting thing from one of these people in chat. W Abyss says he purchased his first game on G2A for Legacy of the Void. He wants to know if there's anything else I need to do to get credit other than using the promo code. No. Oh, hey, GuMiho, what are you doing, man? No, that's just it, man. So if you use the promo code, congratulations. You save 3%, and we got credit for your purchase, most likely. So thank you very much for supporting us by buying the game through G2A. But anyways, this is the Ting Open. This guy's up to no good. So in the top left, can't stay in his own base. Very excited off of that one victory, I guess. It's GuMiho.
Well, in the bottom left, as the red Zerg going for 1 base pool, it is Soulkey.
Now, this ends up working well for GuMiho because of the way you can wall off the middle of the map like this. Even if GuMiho doesn't straight up kill Soulkey, he should be able to bulk up enough units to surprise him, get some damage done. But this is gasless. This is going to be Marines. So I'm wondering, like, where are the other 2 SCVs? Normally you 4-racks this.
Yeah, 3 or 4 racks for sure, but definitely not the standard old 2 racks of Heart of the Swarm. This feels very much so like this is just a pressure build. So he's going to get a command center behind this, and then just try and make sure he doesn't die, basically. Keep the wall off as long as he needs. But it's 2 minutes at a time. The Overlord did see this. Soulkey was already going for a 1 base build, so he should have Lings in time to help out. And I don't think GuMiho's going to get anything from this other than, well, this drone pool, which does take a lot of mining away from Soulkey.
Yeah.
Oh, GuMiho doesn't... I thought he would have enough time to go for the command center, even on the low ground, in fact, with the barracks walling off, but goes for double gas instead. 1 base in it for a while longer?
I guess... I'm really curious how far he'll take this. Now, that bunker does get canceled, but I got the income graph right now to show you guys. With all those drones being pulled, GuMiho spikes up really hardcore. Now, he does let some of these Marines out. He's got enough to dance with these Lings, stutter step around without speed. Spine Crawler is not an overreaction. Actually, might just need it. We've talked before about the dynamic of 2, because 2 Spine Crawlers will one-shot the Marines, but Soulkey's already lost a lot of money, so doesn't want to invest in anything he can't afford.
Well, that is going to be a 1 base build for GuMiho, going up to a factory now.
Yeah, I'd love if he ends up floating a command center to the gold like Lily Canine did on that one game.
That would be pretty cool, but this is usually not the ideal situation for any amount of racks as early on. Even in Heart of the Swarm, if your 2 racks wasn't doing so hot, you would try and get a command center before you went for your factory. And if you're doing really well, then you go for 2 command centers before, but... to actually just stick on 1 base is going to be, well, it's going to be a surprise for sure for Soulkey, who might not have a defense against something air-based, so Banshees or tank drops, or Liberator actually would be the easiest thing for him to defend against, because Spore Crawling a couple of Queens, but we'll see. We'll see what it is. Yeah, Lings actually do get across the map, but then they go and break down the rocks, so okay.
Psych?
We wanted this side, because this side's bitter, okay.
So, while he does break down the rocks, and it'll be a few minutes before we get into things, just reminding you guys that Jesse being in chat means you can ask him more questions, of course, if you've got anything on your mind about Ting, but he can be more specific if there's anything about the giveaways, but I'm pretty sure what we advertised earlier is the simplicity of it being, if you guys want a chance to win that smartphone giveaway, just tweet at Ting and ask them a question with the hashtag TingOpen, and that will enter you into the giveaway draw. And if you're not, and this is where you should ask Jesse because I don't know how they're planning to do it, if you're not from the United States, you're not eligible to win, but I do believe they're still planning to make an AMA video with all those questions. So you can get your silly questions read out possibly on stream in a video by Jesse and friends.
Well, this game has certainly been an interesting one, not the usual proxy racks that we see.
No, this is the most passive proxy racks I've ever seen.
There's no escape for these lings. They might as well try to kill something.
Yeah, tanks can get the blast off. That actually obliterates the army count for Soulkey.
Okay.
And this tank is actually going to be well protected, funny enough.
Yeah, I guess I always forget that Arena has these really popular 2 or 1 in this case tank pushes, not even drops, on this ledge against Protoss, Terran, and Zerg. So makes more sense as a follow-up, but it's still such a weak follow-up.
The scan was necessary because the medevac going down was the high ground vision for this. So ignore the fact that the tank is going to die. He lost the ability to keep shooting up, and this is actually starting to go better for Soulkey. And let's not forget GuMiho having repositioned his barracks. Okay, it gives him an escape path, but also gives Soulkey an attack path.
Yeah. I think the biggest fear for Soulkey in this game would have been he didn't have enough larvae for the lings. That's what I was certainly afraid of. But he does push that back, and he still has larvae going, getting 2 more queens. GuMiho finally gets a command center on the low ground. Might be going for a second command center too. Tanks will certainly keep him safe for a while.
Oh, friendly fire is a hell of a drug.
Maybe Soulkey's gonna go for a lair here. He's not actually getting any close to 300.
I'm actually feeling really bad for GuMiho right now, Zombie Grub.
Oh yeah, me too. But to try and hold on. A tank blocking the entranceway is kind of cool.
Yeah. This SCV gets killed to the command center.
Oof.
He can't afford to cancel it.
Yeah, almost halfway done. It just... Ugh. His defensive setup would be really nice if he had a wall, basically, of any type. You know, tanks, a wall, a Liberator on the way out. All the ground armor that Soulkey had wouldn't be able to break it, but now Soulkey is going up to that 2-base layer, looking for, I'm going to think mutas. There's still no Roach Warren. And the mutas would be very tough for GuMiho to deal with, even with Liberators out. You know, they can't actually chase that well. Nothing can really chase mutas that well. And, well, they'll certainly make sure that GuMiho stays in his base, nothing else.
I didn't realize that he still hadn't connected an SCV to that. I think he tried to put the SCV that was behind the tank on it, so I think kind of stuck there. This command center takes so long to finish. No, I guess like the small upside going for GuMiho right now is because Soulkey had made so many lings and invested in so much army supply, he didn't skyrocket in drones. So the worker count is oddly even. But I still don't know that that's the place you want to be as a Terran player.
Quite worried for GuMiho with these Aspire about the start, I would assume. Soulkey is trying to saturate the 3rd base, get his drone count up higher and higher, and GuMiho, while finally pulling his barracks back, is also looking for that macro game. He has very key defensive units, but not a lot of units in general. Now we even see a Cyclone on the way, which is a little funny. Anything that is anti-air, I guess. Yeah,
bit of a cute move there too, by the way. They tried to send the Liberator in with the tank combined, but only got minimal damage done.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, Spire, good call on the way, and we'll see whether this is going to be used for dedication or not, because again, Soulkey might just want to take some control of the skies, but still focus on the ground. Although in this particular instance, because I think he's got to know in the back of his mind, right? Like, Stim's going to be ridiculously light, Combat Shield's still not done. Lots of mutas might actually fare well against a small amount of Marines.
Yeah, certainly be useful taking out those tanks. So I did mention in an earlier game today that Arena's not very good for sticking on Mutaling Bling, and I do still hold to that. So I like that Soulkey is going for it in this position where he found ourselves, but is planning on switching over to Roaches. Fortunately, the Roach transfer is going to be a little late, so in with the Spire.
Might not matter. GuMiho just killed so much army, and now on the verge of possibly winning the game with this push. That Liberator did such a good job protecting those tanks.
I think just the...
Once these queens break, that's it. There's nothing really left.
That's all of his army. He actually doesn't have that many minerals. He has a lot of gas for sure, but he's gonna get mutas here, but only 4 of them.
Right, he just made a bunch of lings. Like, I'm positive Soulkey thought, okay, I've got the time to make 8 mutas, 10 mutas, and like slowly clean this game up, but not the case. GuMiho's still pushing, and I GG did not see this going to the ace match. This started going so bad, but he brings it back, and GuMiho does tie the series up 2-2. And I don't even mind. That's a great ace match to find ourselves in. We are going to play a small commercial break, though, guys. Nothing too long, I promise, as we get into this final game in this best of 5. So do stick with us. We'll see you guys soon for the last match. Alright, folks, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and I don't know, generic other intros, we are getting into game number 5. It's tied up 2-2 as we get into this ace match, and in the bottom left side, we've got the red Zerg player from TCM, it's Soulkey.
In the top right, as the blue Terran, he is GuMiho.
So I got comments in response to that last game I want to just contest. A lot of people saying, like, this is why tank drop needs to be nerfed, and like, this is why things blah blah blah. But it's not the cheese games like that, and we've seen so many variations of different types of proxies and early Raxes on Arena that it's so hard to say that's why GuMiho won that game. I mean, ultimately, it was a bit of the shuffling and Soulkey not being prepared in time. Like, a lot of things together is why GuMiho won that game. It wasn't just because of tanks.
You think if they weren't tank drops that he wouldn't have hit that same timing? It's Arena. Like, the distance is so short, it didn't matter if they had drops.
Yeah. Actually, this is something where we've talked to a lot of pros. We've actually brought people on stream and we've interviewed them and heard them say from their words, not ours, just how a lot of these maps really influence things a lot more than builds or necessarily balance. And Arena is a very, we'll call it imbalanced for the sake of this discussion, map, where some builds just are stupidly good there that would not work on other maps. Timings on that map are just impossible to hit on something like Ruins of Ceres.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the reason we bring this up isn't because we're trying to like name and shame anybody, but it is just like really frustrating because we cast so much. I'm not saying it makes us the forefront most like experts in this subject, but we see these same common trends over and over again, and I don't know, man. I just hate the thought process that anything like that getting misconstrued could lead to what is eventually the potential removal of tank drops in the game. And it's not just tank drops; there's other aspects of it too. Other things get balanced and whatnot.
Well, let's push past that. It's Dusk Towers as the ace match, which is very odd to see. The first map was Laralac, which is pretty odd too. And of course, GuMiho, as I said, doesn't like Orbital. Like, he does not like Orbital in any matchup, apparently. He also vetoed it versus Cure. So I don't know what that's about. But Dusk Towers usually does lend itself to very, very long games. So he obviously is going to have a lot of time to get to those spires. Spire. That he didn't have on Arena, but he had on Ruins, for instance. And is probably going to go that direction initially. GuMiho could try and abuse that, you think it's going to be a macro game by going for a 2-base, but he's even getting his own 3rd CC, which Soulkey scouts because he was allowed in here. It's like, come on in, buddy.
The scout doesn't really reveal anything too alarming, though. You're like, oh, okay, GuMiho's actually playing a pretty normal build. If you get this scout off and you see that there's no natural base and that there's just 2 starports down, you're like, okay, this was an amazing scout. You needed to see this. But as we can tell, Soulkey not freaking out too much from what he's seen. Just takes his 3rd pretty calmly, and GuMiho scans his opponent.
Yeah. Scans the natural, I guess, expecting a lair or at least a Roachborn down there, but there's nothing yet. Even a Baneling Nest would have told him a lot, which Soulkey now throws down. Still poorly timed from GuMiho, who is just getting a couple of Hellions, just the 4, and then transferring out. There's double engineering base on the way. Very much a macro game.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, the stim choice here is not bad. The faster you get stim out, the more you can dance with Marines. Okay, cool. But he doesn't have a lot of Marines out. He doesn't have a lot of bio out. He's gotten these Hellions in hopes that this wins him, like, the early game defense. But this was so risky to do. Like, I think a big part of that scan was hoping to find out whether there'd be a layer timing, whether you're worried about Nidus Worms or not. Because doing this build from GuMiho is like an auto loss to a Nidus Worm.
Yeah, any roach regression in the Hellions obviously would just suck, and you would be in a lot of trouble. But it is dusk, so Soulkey probably going to go for a Spire is GuMiho's guess, and he would be right, as that lair is almost finished up. The question is actually going to be, does he stick on Mutas, which I think he will. He did really well with it on Ruins. Like, really well. I think he'll be looking to replicate that same game. GuMiho's going to have his nice timing all set up and ready to go. 1-1 with Stim. I think Ruins was the game where he only got the +1, oddly enough. So, I don't know if that's going to affect his push. I don't know, but at least now it's all timed out.
So I guess while we're waiting for this to shape up, I want to remind everybody, tomorrow we get another TING group coming at you. It's going to be a ZVZVZVZVZVZ group with the wild card group. And we got a lot going on. Like, we're still casting. We are casting every single day till the end of February, guys. So if you want to keep up with any of the action, just a little bit of a self shout out to our website, BaseTradeTV, and more specifically, BaseTrade.tv/calendar, so you guys can keep up to date with what's going on and what we're casting, when we're casting it. The website's shaping up really nice, though. We've been getting a lot of really good feedback, and we've been tailoring it a lot to your needs. And I don't know, I'm really happy with the fact that maybe it's just the fact that the TING Open is amazing, or maybe it's the fact that the website coincidentally timed out with it. But we've definitely been seeing not just higher viewership in general, because that's the stat everyone looks at and it's like, oh my god, they peaked at 7K versus they peaked at 5K. But we've been seeing a faster build-up. Like, when we turn the stream on, everyone knows you're not going to get like 40,000 viewers right away unless you're view botting. But it's nice to see that we've been consistently getting to like 2K a lot faster than we had been in the past. So I really hope the website's been a big part of that.
Looking on the up and up. GuMiho looking for the push, though, and is looking to definitely clean up creep, at least.
I mean, how about Marine Push? This is not exactly that version that is all in and early, but it's still strong and cleaning up a lot of creep for sure. Funny enough, it's actually the banelings that'll be super necessary here, because the Mutalisks will not be enough to deal with this many Marines.
Fortunately, he's going to have to cancel that. Yep. Cleans up a little bit of creep, too. Doesn't get the last creature. He gets it. Banelings roll in now. The creep is still down, but they do mostly explode on the Hellbats as they were intended. Like, Hellbats are supposed to soak that up.
Yeah, he actually trades it out not too badly, like wasting those banelings, so to speak. 1-1 for the bio means they can certainly play around with these mutas. Soulkey playing quite dangerous to actually fight this on. Yeah, one goes down pretty quick.
Nice position there. You can't go around as the Lings do. Soulkey really wants to get the rest of these Marines. It's a nice amount. Oh, but nice focus fire on the Banelings. He does see the Roaches, so he knows there's going to be a transfer.
Mutas are just like, we really want to get in there, but I think they're going to know the situation.
So, Soulkey, he went for the +1 missile, so those Lings weren't as useful. He's not going for Strategic Hook, sorry. Now he's adding on the melee, as I think he realizes with cleaning up that push so nicely, he could probably go up to a Hive. He got the Devastation Pit already. And he's looking nice and fine and dandy to get into those Ultralisk.
Yeah, well, the Ultras game aside for a moment, something I think GuMiho realized too, which was kind of important, was that there wasn't a huge investment in mutas. Like, seeing the Roaches and the Ravages with the last few seconds of that medevac was actually a pretty big deal. So this is where I actually really like the Liberators. Not because, oh my god, you can worry about the anti-air, but it's because you got to worry about the anti-ground. It is worth noting, though, that it was the last time we saw GuMiho get to this stage where it was attempted Liberators as the anti-Ultralisk weapon. Not gonna work, though.
Yeah. The Ruins game was... he didn't have a fourth base set up by the time he was already, kind of losing the game. Here, it's, no one's losing, really, even though GuMiho's a little lower on supply. He's a huge bank. And he did just have a couple of, I guess, questionable pushes, when really that push we just saw wasn't questionable. It just, that's how it sometimes goes. You lift off and it gets a little awkward. So he's definitely in a better position this game for the late game, but Terrans rarely feel very comfortable when ultras are out.
And that Hive Cannon right now, boom. Now this is still a large army of Soulkey outside of GuMiho's base. Liberators are set up pretty decently, and there's a couple of tanks, but that bio army could not face this head on. Like, he's gonna need that tactical defender's advantage.
Well, Soulkey's not going to push it. He doesn't have that much of a bank to just throw an army away, and there's really no point. Like, you just got all your tech up and ready to go. You got your upgrades all started and almost finishing, so... Oh, wow. GuMiho did go for this upgrade in a game
That's
that we
right,
cast in,
yeah.
in the qualifiers. But
so there we
it
go.
was kind of at that time where it's like you're also going to be getting the building armor, you know? It wasn't this quick. I
Well,
feel like he...
For those who don't know what this upgrade is, it essentially just gives 3 extra seconds on that medevac boost, which is really nice. So it also eliminates the time at which you can't boost either, because the cooldown starts the second you trigger the ability, not when it wears off. So you just have more uptime on boosting in general. And I guess if he's planning on doing a lot of drops to get around Ultralisks and not fight head on but dance around the map, then I think this is actually a really cool upgrade. But I'm not sure if he'll get away with this or not.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was a mistake for the Liberator range, but he didn't have the Fusion Core until just now, so it times up perfectly with that, and I think he's going to be just following it up. He did invest into the air weapons too, so he really, really wants to make Liberators be his endgame unit as opposed to Ghosts, which we know GuMiho knows how to play, but
Yeah.
he just doesn't like him anymore, I guess.
I think every Terran player unanimously agrees that like Ghosts are the best, but they're still not a great response. Like, it's so easy to shut them down with a fungal growth, with Lings getting on top of them.
Yeah. The problem with Liberators we saw on the Rinsus Ross game, where he did just get overwhelmed by Corruptors, that Soulkey did get pretty promptly after scouting the Liberators. Now, Soulkey is already almost close to maxed out, and he might actually be... Yeah, he wanted to give those roaches away to replace it with better units, but he's going to need more Corruptors to deal with all these Liberators.
Yeah, I thought these Liberators were actually going to just be going for this weird attack, but I guess they're just kind of setting up the defense for these drops. Kind of secure the landing zone in a way. Hopefully?
Yeah, unfortunately the entire army...
Oh, parasitic bombs.
Soulkey
Double parasitic
responded.
bombs.
Oh, the Curse of Biles.
Everything here just kind of messes up those Liberators, and they get pretty low pretty quick. Now the
Wasn't that
Ultras... Well, it kind of was, though. It forced them to split off instead of just set up for that defense, so this drop never got to fully unload until just now.
Well, what looked like it was going to happen was a complete fungal with a bunch of Curse of Biles and then absolutely nothing. At the very least, he got a couple of units with that. And he does lose his Liberator counts, but luckily for him, he has a bank. They both do.
I think in a perfect world, like all those Liberators set up before anything comes there, regardless of parasitic bombs.
Yeah.
And if those double, like that was full of 3/3 Marines, that focuses down a hive. That kills anything left mining. That could have been such an amazing drop. Now back on the other side of the map, that's not a planetary yet, and there's still not a really good. There's not. Oh my God, he's intentionally going for Yamato cannon.
We saw him go for battlecruisers before. I remember this. He only got one though, and didn't do anything. It actually died.
The problem I have with this, right? Like battlecruisers are technically anti-ultralisk units in a very strict, very loose definition of the word, but they're so expensive, and it's gonna be so far until he gets them, so long until he gets them. Medevac gets picked up by the Queen. She kills 1 unit. Really, she killed 9.
Soulkey, okay, this is a very odd Marine. I guess he just went to creep and then forgot about it. So Soulkey does just start a lair as soon as he realized the hive is going to go down. So it's still going to be a while before we can replace Vipers, most importantly. Okay, this is all very exciting that he's getting all of these starport upgrades, but I worry that he's spending too much on it. It's like, his bank is still good, and he's on 5 bases with extra orbitals and capacitors coming down, so I don't know about that, but... You know, Legacy of the Void games usually don't really have those 10,000 banks. So I don't know if he's going to be able to afford Liberators, Medevacs, Banshees, and Battlecruisers.
Right, the gas being the biggest limitation, and wasting upgrades could be a problem there. I'm actually, the Hyperflight Rotor Banshees, I do think is the best upgrade of all the upgrades he's gotten. This is kind of funny, though, because this is all pure Marauders. And I think he resolved not to do too much with this other than try and A, clear up supply, but then B, snipe off buildings like spires and whatnot. As we can see, they get cleaned up pretty quickly, and with no anti-air capability, it's not too useful. But the Hyperflight Rotor Banshees, we've seen this becoming a little bit more common recently. And for those who don't know why this is such an amazing move, it makes the Banshees move like they're on crack. They basically got the same speed as an Oracle, yada yada yada. Because the number one thing is they outrun detection. So you can't, even if you've got Mutas, even if you've got Corruptors chasing them down, they usually just can't see them because the Overseers aren't fast enough to keep up.
Yeah, they're certainly going to be great at picking off those outlying bases, especially as this game... Oh, what's that? It looks like it's going to a 40-minute game, potentially? Who cursed? Huh?
No, I'm fine with that. That's not a curse. That's like Rifkin begging and baiting and hoping that this happens.
Oh, yeah, it's a curse for Cure and...
Rogue.
Oh, the... thank you, Rogue. Cure and Rogue. As, of course, it's getting later, I guess, in Korea. Would have liked all these to be 3-0s and done with it. But we're getting a long game on Dusk Towers, and you can't do nothing about it.
Okay, so Ghost coming out too. These are not exactly gas-savvy units either. And a nuke here and there is going to be nice for zoning, but going back to these air upgrades, like, where are any of these units he invested in, right? No battlecruiser, no Banshees, and it's not like he has to make them immediately, but I am curious at which point he decides to say, let's get these units out on the map, because it's going to be really difficult to keep securing these bases as time goes on.
Yeah. 5 starports. This is feeling so much like Heart of the Swarm, except it's not Ravens that are coming out.
Oh.
The only upgrade he's not getting the ones for the Ravens.
Actually, I would actually love to see Ravens in this situation. We discussed this recently and found out that auto turrets actually deal more damage technically to an Ultralisk than a Marauder does, which is kind of stupid, kind of silly.
They're still just so hard to control, even though they got a was it acceleration boost?
Speed,
I think?
just in general. It moves
Oh, it was
faster.
just speed in general. Okay, because I was always more concerned about their acceleration, just not being able to turn on a dime. But anyways, they got a speed boost, and that helped. But they're still hard to control. They still have priority in your hotkeys.
Oh.
It's obnoxious.
Fuck you, Zerglings.
Yeah, GuMiho is going for Gumi God style battle cruisers, Banshees.
Let's talk about why the battlecruisers are both a good and a bad idea here, though. Because on one hand, he does have +3 weapon upgrades. So the battlecruisers, they'll do like 2 damage a shot to the Ultras instead of a Yamato, whatever. But it's the fact that the Corruptors are going to be really hard to deal with. Because there's not a Viking count behind this. It's all Liberators. And Liberators versus Corruptors, well, the Corruptors have Carapace upgrades. They're actually not going to take much damage from the battlecruisers or the Liberators. He needs to get that Viking and Ghost count up specifically to snipe those off, but the good part of this, they're going to do well with the Broodlords.
Yeah. It has been so long since we've seen a mass late game air army, specifically air.
But you know why? I mean, we've talked about this before. Like, Sky Terran got completely demolished not by Parasitic Bomb, but by the threat of Parasitic Bomb. Now, Parasitic Bomb's had its damage toned down a little bit, and it's much more manageable. It's still a lot of damage, but it's more manageable damage now. So, I mean, that's what's given Terran the opportunity to even consider going air again. But this was GuMiho in a nutshell back in HOTS. You're right. Gumi God status achieved.
Yeah. That was definitely the main reason, but then there's also the secondary reasons, just Legacy of the Void being the game that it usually is, which is very hyper aggressive. Usually it ends by the mid to late-ish end game, and you usually just don't have an opportunity to be super defensive, slap down a bunch of orbitals. Now there's even more of a risk in this game than in Heart of the Swarm making too many orbitals. Don't spend all your money on this.
I thought these were planetaries when we slapped them down earlier, so I looked away. But the other part about this is he's still sitting on 81 SCVs. If you've got this many orbitals, you definitely don't need that SCV count.
Yeah. Soulkey has to be careful of his bank, though. Like, his bank is not so great, so he's going to be... He can't just throw away units.
He's going to be throwing away Ultralisk, that's for certain.
Oh, yeah, he is. Yeah, don't take that. In fact, I'll just...
+3 Liberators here for like, what, 100 or something? Checking that in a second. Battlecruisers look at the Yamato, but unfortunately that's a lot of Corruptors zoning them out and getting into the fight like this. Here comes the Liberators. Splash damage is going to be key. Putting a Parasitic Bomb on top of Battlecruisers is kind of just going to tickle it, but as we see, the splash damage to the Liberators are taking out a lot of the Broodlords. Not quite getting the killing blows, though. But, the Corruptors all gone. Yeah.
The entire air army of Soulkey gets destroyed. And he does not have that much of a bank to recreate it. Like, his mineral bank's okay, but his gas bank's using a 9 Corruptors, and that's it. He has to start depending on Lings to buy him a lot of time. Now, GuMiho, back when he played like this on Deadwing, which was his map for this, he was sometimes too passive, to be honest. He would win a fight and then be like, I think they have a good Remax, so I'm not going to fight. When, of course, as the observers, we could see they didn't have a good Remax. So that's, again, happening here. He could probably move out and take a really good fight. He doesn't want to, because what if Soulkey did have 4,000? It's you got to be careful with this army, all right? It's gonna take a long time to rebuild.
So I guess Liberators don't really do that much damage to a Corruptor with armor, but if you got so many Corruptors, the splash damage ends up being worth it. He's gonna start warping some of these around.
What? Oh, the scout? But he scouted.
That had to be a misclick. I don't know what that was. He's gonna warp warping him away. Actually, I think that's really smart.
Looks so cool.
Rather than caught in the middle of the map. Yeah, it looks and it sounds cool too. Like I love everything about the warp. It just costs too much. It should only be 100. I don't know what's 125. Parasitic Bomb's coming down once again, but I don't know if he's gonna have that fight to take it this time. He splits a bit. Corrosive Bile's looking to land, but once again will push back this Zerg Air army.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot to those ghosts getting the... I think only one parasitic bomb went off when really 3 should have, thanks to the EMP from the ghosts. Ultras actually did come back, even after being pushed away by the Liberators, and they did clean up a base. They're going to maybe clean up a second base, and Soulkey... his Remax was not that good looking. I thought he was going to die, but he has a very consistent income, I think is the thing.
Okay, so a lot of SCVs dying through this, and that kind of sucks, but we're at that stage of the game where, honestly, GuMiho only needs enough SCVs to mine gas with. Can he keep this planetary? No, that's down. But he only needs enough SCVs to mine gas with, because, again, he's got all these extra orbitals. He can just drop mule hammers like crazy and mine out these bases. So this is really funny to be in. All the SCVs going down looks devastating. Yeah, 42. Oh, my God. But it frees up supply for GuMiho to get a bigger army now.
Yeah. Okay, there's a 40 army supply difference when the last fight started. Now there's a 40 army supply difference the other way, as GuMiho just fills that supply with units. Yeah. He's also getting some ground units, which I find like a very interesting addition. And in Heart of the Swarm, it was pure air. You know, you got the Ravens and the Vikings and whatnot. But Legacy of the Void actually trying to transfer it almost back into Bio. But I don't know if that's really going to work. I mean, Corruptors can still turn into Broodlords if they had enough money.
That's the problem for Soulkey, though. Like, even with all these bases mining, and they've been kind of undisrupted. There's not been drops going off. There's not been Liberators setting up. With all of this sort of passiveness going on, he's not been able to do well enough, I guess. But going back to the point of Ravens for a moment, what's interesting, for those who don't know, they have an upgrade to make their... not only their Seeker missiles, but their auto turrets do more damage. So... I was kind of, with all those upgrades going through the tech labs, I really was surprised not to see it, but I guess if you've got this many Liberators, you don't need Seeker missiles.
I don't think that Soulkey can take on the ground army. Like, what does he have? He has 2 ultras coming out.
The Marines and the Ghosts will actually kill those Corruptors. There was so much focus in the air, actually. God, that's so dumb watching one Ultras run through an army and take no damage. There was so much focus on the air army, I guess Soulkey really did forget. Like, it's the one rare time a Zerg player gets caught off guard in a tech swap.
Yeah, that is a good point. But he just never had a very big bank. He had consistent mining, sure, but only to deal with one problem at a time.
That ground army wins.
Even if he's all turned to Broodlords, that's still so many Liberators that he wouldn't have been enough.
He doesn't even take out the air army. Like, he focused entirely on the air, and he doesn't even win the air war. The battlecruisers warp in to where the hive is. I thought those were warping home. GuMiho, with his reverse tech swap, is looking to knock out Soulkey.
He is? He definitely is. Soulkey looks so strong in the first 2 games. It was like, GuMiho, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, 2-0. We thought GuMiho was just going to flop out of the series. I was already like depressed and morose because he's one of my favorite players. But he turns this around. He plays this like an air mech Gumi god. And Soulkey just has nothing to do. He's trying to stop this with the Ultras, but even the Ultras being kited down because there's nothing to support them. Battlecruisers got no response. They're taking forever to kill things because they don't have a lot of good ground damage. But they are going uncontested is the key point. These drones, where do you run? Through Liberators. Rest in pepperonis, boys.
This game... I feel like so much of it was based off the fact that Soulkey never had a bank.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. He took engagements before having, you know, 80 drones get him 6k, and it did end up biting him in the butt. Also, Zerg being caught off guard by a tech swap. That's not... I know, that's a
hardcore role reversal right there. That is so weird, but cool to see. Congratulations to GuMiho. Now, context being, because that did go on for so damn long, that was the losers match. So, unfortunately, this does eliminate Soulkey from the tournament, and he's gone for good. But it doesn't save GuMiho entirely, as he will still have to fight against the loser of Rogue and Cure. Because let's not forget, this did go on for a while. Like, it's pretty easy to forget where we're at in the tournament, so... we got Rogue online. I don't see Cure here, though.
Oh, okay. Oh, hopefully he gets back on.
Oh, he's just AFK in chat.
Okay.
Oops. Sorry, I messaged him with all caps. I don't want to think I'm yelling at him. But okay, so series goes in the favor of GuMiho. We're going to get vetoes sorted. We're going to get things started. And we're going to get to some commercial breaks and some words from our sponsors. So before we do that, I know let's Q&A this one time, Go.
Okay.
Who's sponsoring the tournament?
TING, a mobile service company for America, United States.
And what are they trying to do?
Well, they're trying to save you money from, getting plans where you don't use all of your data. If you're on Wi-Fi all the time, you should switch to something that only uses the data you want to use. Charge you for it in the month. That's
a good point, because we haven't covered that through today. One of the big things about TING, guys, is the way they work specifically helps people who are on Wi-Fi all the time. That's why they chose to do like a tournament marketed towards people who are watching Twitch, who are coincidentally around Wi-Fi probably all the time. So will TING guarantee save you money every month? No. But for a majority of you out there, it probably will. And if you're willing to check out their website, bttv.ting.com, you could check their savings calculator and see if they'll be able to help you out. But veto time. Cure's here.
Please.
Cure. Call 1 or 2, please. And yeah, sorry. Getting back to TING, they're looking to save you guys money. If you got some Wi-Fi, maybe it'll help. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But we're gonna go to a word from our sponsors while we get this next series set up. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back with Rogue versus Cure in the winners match. TvZ. Yay.